Here's that clip right now from his interview this morning where he says, I have a chance to break the deep state. Here it is, guys. Hopefully you can hear it.
People have done a phenomenal job. But what am I doing? I'm fighting the deep state. I'm fighting the swamp. And I said I was doing it, and I'm exposing the swamp. I think if it keeps going the way I'm going, and Ratcliffe is fantastic, if it keeps going the way it's going, I have a chance to break the deep state. It's a vicious group of people. It's very bad for our country, and that's never happened before. You happen to be a victim of the deep state, I hate to tell you, whether you know it or not, but they've treated you horribly over the years, and so have they treated many other people. They never thought I was going to win, and then I won. And then they tried to get me out. That was the insurance policy. She's going to win, but just in case she doesn't win, we have an insurance policy. And now I beat them on the insurance policy, and now they're being exposed. Comey is a dirty cop. McCabe, bad guy. These are all bad guys. Lisa Page and Strzok, these are the two lovers, right? And they used public servers. They put it out public because they didn't want anybody to see, like spouses, etc., to see that they were having an affair. And because they did that, they got caught. Tremendous things have happened. They forged documents. We caught them. They have people that have forged documents. I would like to see it move much faster, I'll be honest with you. To me, I don't need any more information. I know, and I purposely stayed out of it. Other than I appoint people, I purposely stayed out of it. But I'll tell you what they've done, if this were President Obama, if this were a Democrat instead of a Republican, people would have been in jail for 2 years. Many people would have been in jail for 2 years already with a 50-year term. Okay, 50 years. But we caught him. Now, hopefully Bill Barr is going to do something about it. And you know what? Other things are going to come out too. And a lot of other things are going to come out. But you don't even need other things. What they've done is so corrupt. They've tried to take down a duly elected president of the United States. Happens to be, in this case, me. But we can never allow it to happen again.
All right, first things first, guys, I'm wearing a shirt. People think I'm not wearing a shirt. I have a gray shirt on, so someone's like, oh, Namalie's shirtless. I mean, there may be a day where that happens, but I got a gray shirt on. That's important breaking news. But in response to that, Trump basically says that he has a chance to break the deep state, and he mainly talks about the FBI here. Obviously, it's like a police force. When the people say F all cops, there's good cops, there's bad cops. People, don't do good things. It's a tough job. I'm sure it's the same with the intelligence community. I'm sure there's thousands of amazing people who work there and do really, big work like human trafficking, busting huge kingpin rings and stuff. But Trump is really not a fan of the top brass of the FBI, like the James Comeys, the Peter Strzoks. And, I agree with him that they gave him a raw deal. And, I don't think they wanted him to get elected. And a lot of the evidence shows that they did that and had an insurance policy, like he was saying. They have a big double standards in politics. If they like you, they'll cover up for you. If they hate you, they'll just try to destroy you. And the double standard is like blaringly obvious. It's the same with sexual accusations. If you accuse a Republican, believe them. If you accuse a Democrat, you're fake. So the double standards are mind-boggling, and I think he's right on that. But when he says deep state, that word, what does it mean? You hear it a lot. The news says it's not real. It's real. Trump uses it all the time. It's pretty funny. I always go to the Glenn Greenwald definition. He's a progressive left-leaning guy, but I think he's pretty good on this type of stuff. And he had a brilliant definition. He basically said unelected bureaucrats. It's not just the FBI or the CIA. That's what people think of deep state, the intelligence communities. There's people out there who agree with Trump, probably who disagree with Trump, big people at high levels who really didn't want Trump to get elected. But I think a good definition of deep state is unelected bureaucrats, unelected people in government that have massive amounts of power that you never voted for, that you never elected. You elected Trump. You even elected Nancy Pelosi, even though you don't like her, it's true. But a lot of these people, the FBI, the CIA, we're going to get into others, they have massive influence on the country, but no one ever votes for them. And, a big criticism of those communities is that they have unchecked power at a certain point in the 40s, 50s, 60s, whenever they were kind of getting created and built. They were to Central Intelligence, agency, and then FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, whatever. They've kind of grown in power, and that's a big criticism on the left and the right, is that they have too much power and you can't keep them in check because no one votes for them and really knows what's going on. So that's kind of what Trump's talking about when he talks about the deep state. However, this is a point I want to make as well to people who support the president or don't. Honestly, I don't really care at this point. But it's not just those communities. So Trump's really caught up, understandably so. He's trying to gain justice for himself for what happened. Probably included other intelligence communities, but mostly it looked like the top brass, like Comey at the FBI. But as this is all happening right now, and Trump's talking about that, and I've been mentioning it for a month or two now, there's a new deep state, if you want to use the definition that I had, the unelected bureaucrats who can influence politics and policies in massive ways, and you can't really do anything about it. People like the CDC, Robert Redfield at the CDC, Dr. Anthony Fauci at the NIAID, which is the National Institute of Infectious Diseases or something like that, which is part of the National Institute of Health. So these two people, Fauci and Redfield with the CDC and the NIAID, in my personal perspective, have had even more influence than that deep state has had in the last 2 months, because you got to understand the FBI, the CIA, I'm sure they have their covert ways of influencing politicians, influencing the music industry, the television industry. I'm sure they're all over the place doing a lot of stuff. But in my personal perspective, I'm not making excuses for those agencies. There's good, there's bad, there's right, there's wrong. They're definitely all over the place. However, the NIAID and the CDC basically just had the government handed to them the last 3 months. It's not even like they had to convince, an actor to do their bidding, or they had to, make a television show to brainwash people. It's literally just like the CDC and the NIAID got the keys to the government, and it's like they're the word of God now. We didn't elect Robert Redfield. We certainly didn't elect Dr. Fauci, but they say something and all the governments capitulate to it. You had every state for a month or two capitulate to what they said. You had them lay out rules. You can't go here. You can't go to the pool. You can't go outside. You can't run your business. Basically, a socialist communist, which is the centralization of government, big government power, that just happened. So this is kind of my, this is kind of my concern with all this stuff. I don't disagree with Trump. I think he does have a chance to break the deep state, and I think he has a chance of getting justice with what happened to him in the 2016 election. But as someone said this guy's playing both sides. No, I'm just laying out the facts. I'm not a cheerleader. I do actual objective analysis, unlike 99% of people. But anyway, I'm not going to let one bad egg ruin it. This is just the facts. So he's going after, that element of the deep state. Meanwhile, a whole new deep state of people who are unelected health bureaucrats just basically got handed the keys to the government. And to this day, we're still following along to their guidelines. You have the airlines following their guidelines. You have certain states, most of them following their guidelines. They've forever shifted American life in this country until further notice, and no politician on either side seems to be really even attempting to supersede them. It's like those are the experts. They're the bureaucrats. The NIAID and the CDC are to health what the CIA is to intelligence. I'm sure there's some intelligent people there, but they don't have a monopoly on human intelligence. And just like the NIAID and CDC, they don't have a monopoly on health, especially when they're ignoring very fundamental stuff of health, which is social interaction, exercise, child abuse, domestic abuse, suicide, opioid abuse, things that are going to lead to are going to result from what you did. They block all that out and just push their agenda. And a lot of these big corporations like MasterCard and Facebook and Google and Amazon, they also have a financial and personal interest as well. So, there's multiple games going on. But the point I'm trying to get to is I agree with Trump that he has a big chance of breaking the deep state, but as he's worried about the FBI and other people who turned against him in the 2016 election, which I think he has every right to do with Bill Barr, Durham, all that stuff, there's a whole new deep state in town, and he doesn't seem to, or anybody doesn't seem to really be doing anything about it. They seem to be capitulating to them, complimenting them, and just kind of giving them more direct access than, in my personal perspective, the other deep states have ever had. They have influence, they have politicians on both sides, but never have I seen just a complete giving of the power to unelected deep state bureaucratic officials who now get to decide virtually everything that we do, including override the Constitution in many states. Although I know people are suing, Supreme Court stuff, Elon Musk is getting mad. It's all good. It'll work out, but that's just interesting about what I said. So overall, check out Trump's interview. It's interesting. I think he's making some strides, and it's interesting to see his perspective versus what people think he's doing. So when you listen to Trump talk, in my view, the best thing about him is he's very straightforward. He's not a hard guy to listen to. He doesn't act political. He doesn't, sugarcoat things. He says how he feels. And for some reason, a lot of people who like him, a lot of people listen to him, but a lot of people want to pretend like he didn't say or think what he thinks when he says it. So the next story is going to get into that with the Tommy Tuberville, Jeff Sessions stuff. But when it comes to Bill Barr and Ratcliffe, it seems like what Trump was saying here is that he's kind of staying out of it. He doesn't want to seem like a big dictator, but he elects Jeff Sessions and hopes Jeff Sessions does the right thing. Jeff Sessions didn't do what he wanted him to do, so he fired Jeff Sessions, put Bill Barr there. Same with Ratcliffe. Same with Richard Grenell. So he seemed like he replaced a few people who weren't doing stuff, and that's his mindset. He's like, I'm not going to do it myself, but I'm going to elect people to do it. And if they don't get it done, then I'm going to get somebody else. That's what he was saying there. Very understandable, very reasonable. I think that's a fair approach, and that's what the president thinks. He says it all the time. On to the next story. This kind of intertwines. Jeff Sessions is running against Tommy Tuberville, who's an ex-football coach, I guess. Now he wants to run for Senate. Jeff Sessions, obviously ex-Senate, but also was the Attorney General during a very controversial time, the Russia investigation, where he recused himself. Trump got really upset. A lot of Trump supporters did, and he kind of just bounced. Trump fired him, and now he's running for Senate again. Trump is not happy with the guy. He's kind of lashing out against him in this interview. He's put out a few tweets, and I want to just put a preface real quick before I start. I don't live in Alabama. It's not my state. So to be quite honest, it's not really my business. So I'm just going to be honest about that. I don't live in the state, so this is up to you guys. If you live in Alabama, go with who you like. Go with who you feel. Go with who you trust. It's not my state, so overall, I'm just analyzing it. I'm not, trying to tell people what to do, because personally, it's not my business, not my state, not really my race. However, I do find it interesting because it's become a national headline. So I guess Trump doesn't like the fact that Sessions didn't help him during the Russiagate stuff, and he just said, you're too weak, you had your chance, I'm going for Tommy Tuberville. But it's caused quite a rift in Trump's base. We'll see in Alabama how the people of Alabama feel, because it doesn't matter what Ann Coulter feels or I feel. It's not our race, it's your race. So if you live in Alabama, you'll decide it, and we'll see who you pick. But Ann Coulter seems really upset, and a lot of people who are more right-leaning and like Trump, I consider them the America First people. They have a very hard-line stance on immigration, illegal immigration, even legal immigration, border security, foreign, wars and foreign funding and stuff. Very hardline conservatives, where they don't like to play the game that everyone else plays. Like a lot of Trump supporting, what do you want to call them, influencers. All they do is just, Trump's the best, Trump's the best, Trump's the best. There's a lot of people like that, and everybody has a place. I'm not hating. But the America First people, they don't play that game. They say, this is what I believe, and I respect them for that. Actually, I respect them more than other people, because I think they actually want to get stuff done. And they realize that the dual-party system is not going to do what they think it's going to do. Before I talk about that, I want to read a quote. My buddy on Twitter, his name on Twitter is Hotep Jesus. He tweeted a quote from Vladimir Lenin, and this is a quote directly from Vladimir Lenin. He said, the establishment of a central bank is 90% of communizing a nation. This is Vladimir Lenin. I'll read that again. The establishment of a central bank is 90% of communizing a nation, saying that's how you make a nation communist. Socialism and communism is the centralization of power. They're supposed to give it back out to the people. It just never happens. That's why I prefer a free market, or as free as it could get. But, this is why, and people get mad at me and they say, Anomaly's playing both sides. Anomaly's a fence sitter. He doesn't really like the president. I'm just being honest, guys. I'm not a cheerleader. I'm not a PR team for Trump. I don't just, I'm not an agreeable yes man. I'm just being real with you. There's a reason we ended up in this lockdown, for the reasons I just told you about, with the CDC, NIAID being another unelected bureaucrat that has way too much power. But also, we gave up a lot of our freedom in the early 1900s with the central bank. When you centralize power that much and you have your entire banking industry basically run by an outside source that's not quite part of the government, but it is, I mean, that is kind of, a road to communism. So that's why I say a lot here. Just to be honest, I think both parties are heading towards communism. And I'm not saying that to be mean, or I still, if you want to know, I'm going to vote all Republican because I think that they handle the state better, lower taxes, more freedom, they open up quicker. Democrats can't do anything for me, but that I'm not going to pretend like, everything's going to be fine if people don't stand up for themselves. You can't just be a cheerleader. And point I'm trying to get to is, this is why I respect the America First people. Even, I never really liked Ann Coulter, but I respect her for not just being another cheerleader. Even if I disagree with her, she believes in what she believes, and she doesn't change her beliefs based on like running off the cliff with the, whatever the mainstream conservative movement does. Because there's a lot of rhinos, which stands for Republican in name only. There's a lot of sneaks. There's a lot of lobbying. There'll be Republicans that'll tell you we're fighting big tech, but you might not even know they might be on big tech's payroll. So this is the game that happens. I'm not saying everybody. There's some good people in Congress, but people are too quick to play sports games, and the America First people are like, no. So this is the Alabama race. You have Tommy Tuberville, who's the ex-football coach who Trump really likes. He's endorsing. And then you have Jeff Sessions, who's running against him, who Trump is railing against. So outside of that, this is the story I'm hearing. Obviously, Trump likes Tuberville, doesn't trust Sessions because he was too weak as AG. However, the America First kids, the Ann Coulters, I think John Miller from Blaze TV, there's a lot of people who are saying, I don't think Sessions did a great job as AG. However, I trust him on immigration. I trust him on border security. I don't trust Tommy Tuberville. I'm not telling you this. I'm just saying what everyone else is saying. Research it for yourself. They're saying that he's kind of a globalist. He's big on China. He's weak on immigration. That's the stance that they're taking. So they're saying, Trump, we like you, but we don't want to support Tommy Tuberville. We think he's another rhino. We think he's another Romney. And I'm not saying he is. He's an ex-football coach. I'm sure he's a great guy. Maybe he's going to do everything he says he's going to do. However, I have seen this happen time and time again. Even in the last 3 years, you had Trump endorse Mitt Romney. And Mitt Romney, even when Trump endorsed him, I knew Mitt Romney was a total sneak. I was like, there's no way that guy's going to ever do us any favors. But whatever, maybe he's better than the Democrat. And it happened with John Bolton. When John Bolton got elected to his foreign policy commission, I knew John Bolton was bad news. And it is what it is. I didn't cry about it. I just said, I don't really like the guy. I never was like, oh, I hate Trump, he's bad. I'm like, no, I don't like the guy. Maybe Trump wants him there to, get a second opinion. And he ended up turning against Trump, and then Trump got rid of him eventually. So there's certain times where, a lot of loyal people next to Trump is they've gotten screwed. Michael Flynn got screwed. Roger Stone got screwed. And, when Michael Flynn was in the heat with the media, a lot of people don't remember, but I believe President Trump fired Michael Flynn. He kind of threw Flynn out real quick because he didn't want to take the heat because Flynn was under some hot fire. So I'm not blaming the president. I'm just saying there are supporters who don't like Tommy Tuberville, and there are obviously supporters who do. And if you're in Alabama, you have a better idea of both of them, and I would say research, look into them, and go with your gut. I'm just telling you that this is the debate going on in the Republican Party right now. You have the America First people saying, no, Sessions is stronger on immigration, and Trump and more of the Trump people and a lot of people in Alabama saying, no, Sessions didn't do enough as Attorney General. He's weak. We don't trust him. Get out of the way, bro. It's time for a new era. You didn't do your job when America needed you. So that's the debate going on between the two people. Me, I'll be honest, I don't have a big stance. It's not my state, so I'm not even playing the people that are going, Anomaly plays the fence. No, it's not my race. If it was in a state that I was in, I would research it more and really try to figure out what side I would take. But it's, why would I fight for Alabama's Alabama? I love the people and trust the people of Alabama. You guys could make your own decision and vote for yourself. It's not my race. However, there is one interesting thing too I want to talk about, then we'll answer some questions, is you have, like I said, you have America First people, you have Trump supporters, everybody's individuals. You have millions of people who think for themselves as well. But another big movement in the Trump campaign, which has gotten massively smeared by mainstream media, I believe they're getting deleted off Facebook and Twitter, is the QAnon movement, where a lot of Trump supporters read a message board on 4chan, somebody anonymous posts stuff every day or every couple weeks or whatever, and they read it, interpret it, and then it's just built this massive movement of Trump supporters who believe that Trump is going to arrest hundreds or thousands of people and really hold the deep state accountable any day now or any week now or next year. I'm not sure if they know when, but the reason I'm bringing them up is one of the biggest things that the QAnon crowd of Trump supporters has said for years now is trust Sessions. It's one of their main phrases that he used to use a couple years ago. He said, trust Sessions, trust Sessions, trust Sessions, trust Sessions. So everybody was trusting Sessions in the QAnon movement. And then Sessions got fired by the president or he left. And they still said trust Sessions because in that movement, you're not allowed to, I mean, you could do whatever you want, but a lot of the top influencers in the QAnon movement, they don't ever want to admit that anything happened that they didn't say was going to happen. So they always have to make up a story to pretend like what they want to be true is true, even when it's not true. So when Sessions got fired, they said, no, Sessions is still a trustworthy guy because he planted seeds for the Durham report and for all this other stuff. And the truth be told, outside of that movement, is there are some good things Sessions did. Sessions wasn't a bad guy. Maybe he made a mistake. Maybe he had to do what he had to do because Trump talked too much on television and then they had, justification for an investigation. I don't know. I'm just saying they trust the guy. So the funniest part, the reason I'm bringing this up, is Trump said specifically on Twitter 2 days ago, he said, do not trust Sessions. Trump does not like Jeff Sessions. If you do, that's up to you. If you don't, that's up to you. But this rabid lying about what's going on to try to justify what you thought was going to happen is honestly becoming kind of brainwashy and culty. You could listen to the interview this morning. I listened to it. Whether you feel or whether you like or don't like Sessions, I'm talking about President Trump. Trump does not like Jeff Sessions. He's made it clear. He said, don't trust Jeff Sessions. Don't vote for Jeff Sessions. He did a horrible job as AG. I don't trust him. Trump does not like Jeff Sessions, and he makes it very clear, and Trump's a very honest, straightforward guy, so it's not hard to figure out that he doesn't like Jeff Sessions. He said it 30 times over the last week in interviews all over the place with conviction, with honesty. Trump's not a hard guy to read. The QAnon crowd is so into the QAnon message board, they think they know more than everyone else. They're still saying that they trust Sessions because they think that Trump is just playing a Roman circus for everybody else. So their theory is now, I kid you not, I'm not talking about the guy who posts on the message board. I'm talking about a lot of these big influencers who get thousands of retweets every day making up this stuff. They're telling people, no, Trump is telling people not to trust Sessions because he secretly trusts Sessions. He's going to put him in a higher position. Guys, he said Sessions did a bad job at AG. He didn't say Sessions did a good job. He doesn't like Jeff Sessions, but these people can't face the fact that they might have been lied to, or they might have been tricked, or they might have been worshiping an anonymous poster on a message board who's not Jesus Christ. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. It's like he tells us to think for ourselves. Then think for yourself. How could you think for yourself and at the same time say, trust this guy? If you could think for yourself, then you're allowed to not trust the person he trusts. If I say trust Jeff Sessions and someone says, anomaly, I don't trust Jeff Sessions, you don't have to listen to that. I don't tell you trust in this person. You trust God, trust yourself, and then have the discernment to make decisions, But that's the point I'm trying to get to is they still think Trump is secretly supporting Jeff Sessions by railing against him. And they don't even understand that millions of people in Alabama are going to be influenced by the president. Millions of people around the world listen to the president because that's honestly what you should do. Someone said, I'm a QAnon, I don't trust Jeff Sessions. Well, Bobby, I respect and I appreciate people who think for themselves because I'm not talking, and when I make these statements, obviously there's millions of people who feel differently in every sort of thing, but I have noticed a trend, I'm not going to lie, and I just thought it was funny, so I talked about it on Twitter of these people no, we still trust him, he's going to put him here. It's like, guys, it's okay to understand that every part of the puzzle, things happen, Trump doesn't like Sessions, and it's okay. We'll get through it. There's other people. There's Bill Barr. There's Radcliffe. But it's that's the part that really turns me off to the whole thing. Is one, they get kind of rabid. Not you. You seem like you got it together, but they get rabid when you don't agree. They're like, no, this is what's happening now, and you're like, dude, chill out. It's not happening. So I just thought that was funny. I saw someone's like, no, trust. He is gonna do. It's it becomes into opposite day where I was talking to my buddy the other day, Carpe Donktum, who does a lot of the big Trump memes. He's been to the White House and stuff. this was like, you know, a concern that people have had. It's not, we like deep research. We like people who are honest, objective, learning new things. I'd rather people research than like just watch television. You know, it's got to be more healthy than that. But people have gotten into this control matrix that's really dangerous, in my opinion. Not like dangerous, like, oh my God, it's scary. But like, if you hate President Trump so much that anything he does you hate, you become easy to control. If you can emotionally attach somebody to the president in a negative way, you're like the easiest person to control. Do this, do that, do that. He did this, he did that. Lysol, you know, hydroxychloroquine. They never stop. Same with on the right wing, although it's not as hateful. It's like, if your control matrix is, if Trump says it, he means it. If he does it, he did it. If he didn't do it, you got to wait till he does it. And if he doesn't say what you want him to say, he secretly said what you wanted him to say because he's just putting out disinfo for people. That's a control matrix, guys. And it's outside of politics, right wing, left wing, research. That's how you brainwash somebody into controlling them completely. If you don't believe that, then you're fine. If you could read the posts and read research and think for yourself and watch that and then make your own decision, you're totally fine. But if your lifestyle on the right wing is, if Trump says it, he means it. If Trump says the opposite of what I want him to say, he means what I think he wants to say, but he doesn't mean what he actually said. If he does it, I'm going to celebrate because it's there. If he didn't do it and he said he's going to do it, then just be patient. You get what I'm saying? It's a control system of a mindset. And it's, you know, someone said you're a fast reader. I'm not reading. That's why I'm just talking. So there is no script here. I just kind of talk. So, you know, that's what I want people to be a little cognizant of. So overall, it's all love for me. And in that race, let me know if you're from Alabama, what you guys think, because it's your race, not mine. But that seems to be the debate. Trump versus Jeff Sessions, Trump supporting Tommy Tuberville. A lot of conservatives supporting Jeff Sessions, a lot of them supporting Tommy Tuberville. And this is going to be a big debate on the conservative side over the next 3 years. You're going to have two different groups, and they're both vying for power. And I'm going to say this before we end, and I'll answer questions. When Trump is gone, there's going to be a huge power vacuum. Regardless what you think of the president, he's the man. You get what I'm saying? He is the Republican Party. He is everything conservative right now. Like, nobody exists without the president. If you rail against the president, you're out of control. Unless you do it in an honest way, an accurate way, people will probably like it. But overall, he is Republican. You know, there's no one near him, no one near his caliber, his comedy, his poise. He's the best. Everybody else is second fiddle, and rightfully so. I mean, a lot of them are wildly unimpressive. Point I'm trying to get to is, once Trump is done, who's going to take that space? You get what I'm saying? What ideology is going to take that space? And this is where I think people who are overly critical of the president, I'll have my disagreements, but I also, and people don't give me credit because they think I say two bad things about, or like two things I disagree, all of a sudden I hate him. No, he's a special person. He's very pragmatic. He's very off the cuff. There's nobody else like him. I don't trust any of these people that are trying to vie for him. Like, people like Dan Crenshaw, Nikki Haley for president. I would never vote for them. I'm sorry. I mean, I wouldn't want to vote for a Democrat, but I might have to sit it out. Like, people don't realize how not Trump they are. It's like Trump is his own thing. He's totally off the cuff. In Syria, in North Korea, with this, he's way better than everybody. So the point I'm getting to is, when he's gone, there's all these people, the Charlie Kirks, the Nikki Haleys, the Dan Crenshaw, the America First. Everybody's vying for that spot afterwards, and there's going to be a huge clash over the next few years of what is the dominant conservative theory. Right now, it's Trumpism. Whether you love it or not, it's Trump. And regardless of what Trump does or not, you know, people are going to follow him because he's done enough that they trust him. And honestly, when you look at the last 50 years of politics, I understand why. He's already done more than most people have. Every day, even on his worst day, where I disagree with him the most, he's still much more tolerable than everybody else in Washington besides like Rand Paul. So, you know, he dominates it. But what's going to take over? What mindset is going to take over after Trump? Because Trump, I wouldn't even call Trump Conservative Inc. or America First. Trump is Trump. He's all over the place. After him, the Conservative Inc., the Charlie Kirks, the Ben Shapiros, the Dan Crenshaws, the Nikki Haleys, you know, they want people to think like them, and they want Republicanism to be like them. And then the America First kids, which I would consider, they're all different, and I don't want to say they're all the same, but like Ann Coulter, Michelle Malkin, Nick Fuentes, John Miller from Blaze TV, and these people are not all in the same group, but they all, I believe, put principle, what they believe, over team party politics, and they're ready to push the Republican Party further and not just be sports team players. As for the other side, to me, they're more like, they'll act like, oh, Trump, MAGA, like we're all, but these are the people to me that just seems very Washington-y. They'll be the ones taking the lobbyists, sneaking stuff out, sneak away the Second Amendment, sneak away the First Amendment. Unfortunately, if I had to choose, I would take the America First people over Conservative Inc. when the time comes, for the reasons I just said. They seem too sneaky. They do too much censorship, blacklisting. They both have pros and cons, but that's going to be, I'm just letting you know in advance, that's going to be this Tommy Tuberville and Sessions kind of clash outside of Alabama. It's also a mindset clash for the conservative zeitgeist of where do we want to go, who do we trust, what do we do, and overall, I'm in my own zone too. I'm kind of like a Trump. Like, I don't fit into America First. I don't fit into Turning Point, but I could go to both those events and I'd get along. I could speak at both those events and say something real. I could fit into both of them, but I'm my own person. So I'm going to continue to do that. I don't pick sides, but, I just call it like I see it. And I do want to see more people really stand firm because, like I said, I'll read this quote again and then we'll move on. This is Vladimir Lenin. He said, the establishment of a central bank is 90% of communizing a nation. So if you think Bernie Sanders is the only route to communism or Joe Biden, it's not going to happen. The central banking system is already, a total centralization of power, and now you see what happens of like 60, 70 years of cultural decay, in my opinion, where they lead us both down the same path, where like some people are moving slower, some people are moving faster, but at the end of the day, in my view, what we do need is a total reversal. And that's why I'm not a negative guy. I really don't like to talk bad about people, but when I talk about Trump or Charlie Kirk, I'm not talking about them personally, their personality or who they are. I'm saying I don't want to keep moving down the wrong path, even if it's slowly to appease them. We got to go the other way. No more political correctness. Go the other way. No more calling everything racist, sexist, anti-Semitic, xenophobic, Islamophobic. We got to go the other way. I don't want to play the game of the left wing. I want to go back to the days where you could say the truth and then debate the truth. And, the truth is not always sugar-coated, and sometimes it is, but overall the sugar-coated lie is not appealing. I'm tired of eating that, and that's why I'm gonna continue to just be myself, but also I am gonna I am interested to see what happens after that. Someone said Trump Jr. 2024. I don't know if the guy wants to run, but I do think he's a funny guy. He's different than Trump, but he definitely has that Trump blood for sure. His Instagram is hilarious. Don Jr. is ridiculously savage. It's unbelievable. But that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll stay and answer a few questions. God bless you guys. I appreciate you being here, and took yesterday off for the most part, and it was much needed. I didn't even realize, usually I take Saturday and Sunday off, but through this pandemic, I just lost track of days, couldn't do anything. So I've been just cranking workout, and it's not always healthy to do that, so I needed a break. I feel good today, though. Someone said, I would love